Hi everyone, my name is Varmar, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can use my latest plugin release, which is called Async Blueprints Tools. Now this tools exposes 5 very simple nodes that by default you would not be able to use unless you write custom C++ code, but with this one you can completely use it to execute async logic in your blueprint development environment. Now these nodes are basically the run on game thread, which as the name indicates runs the logic into the game thread. So for example, if you jumped into the async task and you executed something on the async task, but you want to jump back into the game thread, it's useful. It has the run async task, which basically runs your execution into the async. And then it has an async delay, meaning a non-blocking delay, basically. There's also a run async loop, which basically just a simple async loop. And there's also cancel async loop, which you can cancel the so-called async loop that you just created. And these are very simple nodes, but really useful in a blueprint only environment if you do not want to create custom C++ code. Alright, so let's test out the nodes and see how you can use this in your game environment. Now the run on game thread, of course, if I just execute from a simple begin play, it's already on the game thread, so you need to jump into the async and go back to see how it goes. But we could genuinely just do from the begin play, you connect it, or from perhaps you are in a player controller or anything, you just need an execution to connect, like an execution pin, and that will actually execute this, and the callback needs to go to a custom event. So you need to go custom event like this, and you just create your custom event whatever you want to. I created, which can be, by the way, replicated or whatever, it doesn't matter, it just has to be a custom event. So I already created a couple of custom events so we can test these things. Of course, if it's not a valid callback, it will tell you they need a valid callback pin to be connected, right? So to run on game thread must have an input wired into it. Now the input you need to connect to the custom event like this, and then this one is a very simple one. On begin play we are going to say that the task is started, right? So because it executes on the game thread, so like this, task started on the top left corner, you can see right there. The next one we can test it out. Like I said, it's a very simple one. If you are in an async, you can jump back into the main thread. Let's try an async one, right? So this one is basically executes in the background, right? So when we connect it like this, you need a task body. Let's say the task is started like this, and then on complete it can say something, right? In this case, I'm going to connect the on complete into the event finished node right here, custom event finished. Now, in order to see that it's actually doing it, I'm gonna connect a 2-second delay, and I'm gonna call task finished, right? So we just do it like this. We do it, and then task started, and within 2 seconds, task finished, right? Because it ran in the backend. Now, if we delete this, let's say we delete this, let's just do like this, let's bring it back. Let's try something more like the async delay, for example. Now, this is a non-blocking delay, meaning that you can just connect it like this, and it's gonna execute a delay in the background, right? And once it's finished, it's going to tell you something, right? So it could be like this, and it could say that async delay is finished. How much you want to? Let's set it for 3 seconds, like this. And then let's jump in here. Within 3 seconds, we are going to see async delay is finished in the top left corner. That means our async delay just finished. And then the last one, before the last one, sorry, that's going to be the run async loop. Now this one you can execute. Let's just connect it to the begin play. Now you can, and I'm going to move this one down. You can execute this by giving it a number of iterations. So for example, let's say I want to iterate for 8 times. I can do a 1-second delay in between iterations. Now, of course, you also need a loop body, right? So in order to have a loop body, you would need to create a custom event, and in a custom event, you would need to have an integer index because it will pass the iterations, right? So let's say you do a loop body like this, you connect it, and then the index will go into a append node, which is gonna say loop iteration, say it like this, loop iteration, double dot like this, 2 spaces, and then it's connected to the index and a print string, right? So that means it's going to print it out. Now, of course, it says that onComplete is not connected. You need also a complete what happens when it's completed. Let's say task is finished, right? So let's just have a 2-second delay and say task is finished, or we don't even need to have a 2-second delay. We can just directly say it like this, task is finished. All right, so let's test it out. When we go into the game, loop iteration, it will nicely climb up in the top left corner. Loop iteration will go nicely up until our chosen one, and then task is finished basically. Now what is the last node? The last node is cancel async loop. As the name indicates, this is a very simple one. You can just do it like this and then connect it here and it will cancel. Now of course it will cancel right away, so let's just do a delay node just so we can show it. And I don't know, let's set it 3 seconds maybe, and then we're going to cancel it, right? So it will try to count to 8 with a 1-second delay between them, but once it gets to like 3 or 4, it will stop because of the delay and the cancel async loop. If we go back and start it, we can see 1, 2, and 3, and then it stopped it, right? Because it canceled the async loop. So basically that's all the nodes itself. I do think genuinely that these are useful nodes. The reason that I created these particular nodes and created this plugin is because I need to use it in my blueprint only game environment. I usually create plugins which I'm intended to use because they are useful for myself. I like to keep my game into a blueprint only logic, and in this case all of these are really useful in order to do that. Now, if we want to, for example, test just to see how it looks like, what I could do here is let's just bring it back, this environment, right? Like this. So if we want to see how, for example, the async loop triggers this whole thing, I'm gonna start in my second monitor and you can see that it runs through accordingly like this, easy. Now again, when would you do a run on game thread is if you switch into an async task, perhaps, and you need to jump back into a main game thread, you could do that. So yeah, other than that, you have an async task, you have an async delay, you have an async loop, and you can cancel the so-called async loop. I hope this was a useful information video for you. And if you purchase the plugin, I thank you for it. And if you subscribe to my channel, I also thank you for it. Cheers, guys. See you in the next one.